Welcome! It's a great day to be a miner. In today's video, we got an awesome new accessory for mining. This thing is quite innovative. We're going to unbox it and we're going to test it out. But first, let's spin that intro. And we're back. So let's open this thing up and see what this is. I picked this up off of eBay. I've never seen this implemented or anyone else try it. So I figured let's buy it, let's hook it up, and let's see if it does what it says it does. So yeah, without further ado, you know what time it is. RGB knife. Engage. All right, let's open this guy up. Like I said, I picked this up from eBay. It was like 40 bucks. And it took a little while to get here, but we'll make sure to link it down in the description. And of course, after we test it out to see if we should actually even endorse this or not. So right off the bat, packaged with newspaper, not the end of the world. That still might be packaged well. All right. Da, 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 da. What's in the box?
Oh, what's in the box?
All right, let's see what indeed is in the box. All right. All right, let's see. All right, so first and foremost, you're probably wondering, what exactly is this guy right here? Well, this is a custom-made shroud. It's 3D printed shroud with a fan attachment on there, with a nice barrel plug connector. And this is for the Ice River Kaspa KSO Pro Edition. So this is basically going to clip on to the ASIC, and it's going to funnel the air through the device. So the back, I believe you just open, you take the plate off. The front, he gave us a nice little 3D printed cover, and that'll be on the front side. And then this is going to force air induction through this shroud and do a pass-through right out the front of this thing. And supposedly this should lower the temperatures up to 10 degrees. So we're gonna try it out. We're gonna see if this thing actually works. We'll do some really nerdy numbers. We'll get the baseline on what the temperatures are at ambient with it running consistently. Then we're going to put this guy on there and we're gonna test it. And then we'll do some other configurations, maybe the side fan. We'll take the side fan off. We've got a side fan currently blowing into it. We'll do some different configurations with the two internal little mini fans, and then we'll see how that works. Let's get a good close-up view of this thing so that you guys can actually see it, since it's probably kind of hard to see with the dark color. And then we'll get to work. Let's do it. So now that we've had a close-up look, a couple interesting things stand out. One is the nice powered fan. This guy should provide plenty of air induction. It has a actual breather hole right here that goes kind of like a tube so that it can isolate and you can still plug in a cord through here. Then on the bottom, you've got these feet, and you could actually stack multiples with this design. So it's got these will stack in here, and you could stack multiple of your Ice Rivers on top of one another, which then you're kind of compounding your heat. So I don't know that that's necessarily a good idea, but there's that. The faceplate cover, a number of other places have made these already, and this isn't a unique design, but it does help to allow the air to escape through the front panel or the back panel. And then the real interesting thing is this design here. This is just it's the barrel plug. So they made a male and female barrel plug adapter. So you would plug this in for your power supply, and then you're just plugging the other one onto the other end. So it's like a pass-through. And then what that allows you to do is, like I said, to stack multiples. You can plug them in multiples, or you can plug your power supply into both your fan and your ASIC and your shroud at the same time. So it's really an intelligent design, and I'm kind of surprised that I've not seen anyone else create these yet. And like I said, I picked this up from some random creator on eBay, and I'll make sure to link down in the description. This guy actually has tons of different mining specific type 3D printed items. Some of them are good, some of them I kind of question. But yeah, actually looking close at this, the shroud on this fan is actually PLA. I could tell that he printed the little mini shroud on this guy as well. So that's pretty nifty. Like, this is not a quick, easy 3D print where you just print one item and hook the fan to it and send it out. It's actually got the fan shroud, these extra little pieces, the grill. So we're gonna test it out and see if it's actually a value or if this thing just looks better than it actually performs. Before we get into all that, let's go ahead and have a word from our sponsor.
You know quantum computers, you know blockchain, but do you know both together? Dynex was the first platform to create a neuromorphic supercomputing blockchain-based algorithm which solves real-world problems. And the best part? Anyone can post a job, whether a company from the Global 2000, a machine learning job, or fintech and pharmaceutical. And if you don't want to program it yourself, get an expert directly at the marketplace. Run the job and be impressed by the fast result.
All right, before we dig into this and actually try it, let's look at the original listing and where I picked it up. The seller is called Extreme-Machine-RC on eBay. I paid $33.25 plus shipping, so roughly $40 for this item, 2-door. He has it listed as Ice River KSO Pro Forced Air Induct and Custom Chassis Covers Stackable, and then he has read. Right here, he's showing it actually on the ASIC itself. And then over here, he's showing that he is using an overclocked version at 295 gigahash. There is his custom cover. My cover actually looks different than that. The one he sent us actually has better breathing than this one. This has a lot more surface area, so that means the one he sent actually will allow more of a pass-through, so it's actually an upgrade. There is a overview, a top view of it. The side view, that was just the custom drilled case, which that one doesn't cover. That one doesn't work as well as, like I said, the one I got. And there's another picture of it. Let's see what the description says on this thing. It says, this listing is for a custom forced air ducting system, riser stands, and vented chassis end plates. Fan and harness is included, not the miner. Oh, darn. No extra wiring or power supply for the fan is needed. At 295 gigahash, which is the overclocked firmware on the Pro, my temperature was 68C with a 120 millimeter fan on the top bracket and the end covers removed. With this setup, so he's saying his old setup, he took the end covers on, which most people are doing, the front and the back cover, and they're pushing the air directly into it, which is forcing the air out. He's saying that it was at 68C with that setup, and now with his new setup with this air duct, he is getting 10 degrees cooler, and so he must be running at 58C with that and the covers installed. And then it also says these are stackable and locking. So before we actually install it, let's get base numbers off of my Kaspa KSO Pro, and you can see right here, let's make sure, yeah, you can see right here that it's been running for quite a while, and my 30-minute average hash rate's 205. I am going to test it on this non-overclocked KSO Pro, and then maybe we'll test it by overclocking it later. And down here at the bottom, you can see that the temperature currently running is 53C, 205 gigahash, and the second temp 2, is 37C. The fans are running at 4961 RPM, and then fan 2, 4917, 75% manual on the fans. And then I'm gonna make a spreadsheet, I'm gonna throw these numbers in, and then we're gonna do some different configurations and testings. Currently, I have the Pro laying like this, just on the boarded shelf, and then I have the 120 millimeter fan on top, pulling the air up. So we could also go ahead and flip the fan over, force the air down, take the end caps completely off, get the temperatures with just the end caps off, Then we'll put the new end cover on and the air duct on, and we'll see what that temperature is. And again, this is all going to be on the non-overclocked version, but it should scale fairly decent between the two, and at least that way I'm getting a baseline for both. So let's go ahead and get those nerdy numbers, and you don't want to see all that, so we'll just make it happen. Let's go. Okay, we got our spreadsheet, our nerd data all set up here. We have a nice spreadsheet. It said KSO Pro at the top, and then we've got our orientation and our setup. We start with horizontal with the 120 millimeter fan blowing out, then we go vertical with it blowing out, then we switch and we do horizontal blowing in and vertical blowing in. Then we're going to take the face plates off, and we're going to repeat the same 4 that we just did, but with the face plates off, with the fan blowing in and out on both the vertical and horizontal orientations to get a baseline reading for all of those. Then we're going to strap the shroud on, and we're going to try it on a horizontal orientation, and we're going to flip it up and try it on a vertical orientation. And then, of course, our constants we listed. Our runtime is going to be at least 30 minutes per test to get the accurate heat to run through and stay at that constant temperature. And then our ambient mining cave temperature is 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're running off of 120 volt electric. And then of course we are going to measure our fan speed, we're going to get the temperature, we're going to get the hash rate, and then we're going to get the power at the wall, because that's important. We want to know exactly how much extra power this guy's adding versus just having the 120 millimeter fan on the top. So yeah, we're gonna get all that going. Let's go set this thing up. All right, so here we are, we're in the mining cave, and let's just check it out. There are our Ice River KSOs. We got 2 of the regular KSO, and then we've got our Pro, and this is the guy that we're working on right now with the new shroud. So let's get up here and take a closer look at this guy. And this is with the shroud on. See the new feet right down here. We've got these new printed feet, and then currently I have the RGB fan back on top of it, and behind it is the shroud. So let's get some better light on here and see if we can't take a look at what we got. So here's what the shroud looks like installed. Let's see if we can get a good look of it. Right there. And it's just kind of slid on over top of the whole side casing. Boy, that thing is dusty, but I took the fan off of it, the RGB fan, so we can see better. I also will include the RGB fan down in the description. It comes in a 2-pack for only like 20 bucks with the speed controller, USB controlled, of course. So those are really handy. It's the same ones I'm running over here and over here. But yeah, so there's the shroud from the overhead view. Let's stand this up, get a better look at it. So there are the feet, and you can see that it just goes right into the slots of the outer casing of the KSO. And there is our shroud. So it's really interesting because the existing barrel plug plugs into the barrel plug for the shroud for that fan, and then it both plugs in inside, and then you slide the shroud on, which takes a little bit of effort. And here's what this thing looks like from the side. There's with the new custom printed plate on the front face plate. Then you've got your shroud pushed on, and it has funnels down into this fan. That fan's actually probably like 80 millimeter. It's not a 120 standard 120 millimeter. So yeah, that could possibly be something we could test in the future, put a 120 millimeter on this thing. But yeah, there's what it looks like set up. It is on, it's running, and we are in mid testing. So I figure if this is good enough to just show you, then we're gonna go, let's go check out all the nerdy numbers and see how this thing actually performs. Let's go get it. Hey, Future Altered here with an altered future. We're back. We've spent way too much time testing this thing. And yeah, let's go over the numbers. The sheet has expanded, and we've tried some extra orientations, and we've added some things that weren't there to begin with. So we'll go over these real quick. Down at the bottom, we updated our constants. So we updated the constants are that each test is at least a 30-minute runtime. The ambient mining cave temperature is staying 68 degrees Fahrenheit. We are running 120 volt electric. I am keeping both the internal fans on this ASIC at 75% at all time, and I am using the stock power supply that comes with it. The KSO Pro is not overclocked. We'll test that out in the future from T-Swift's software. And the fan that is used when used is the UpHere RGB 120mm USB powered fan, and I'll put links down in the description for those as well. But those are our constants. Now, let's go look at our spreadsheet. We've added some things and some different orientations. So our legend is that we're going with our orientation and our setup on the left. Then we are monitoring the fan speed of the number 1 fan, number 2 fan. Those are the internal fans. We are monitoring the temp 1, temp 2 straight from the Ice River dashboard. And then we are getting our hash rate again from the dashboard for the 30-minute hash rate. And then our power at the wall is actually used by a direct meter that is plugged into the Ice River ASIC, and that is an accurate reading for the most part. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start with our testing and what we did. So we did horizontal and vertical with no additional cooling, just straight out of the box. You set the thing up, you get it hashing away. After 30 minutes, then we read the temperature, 65, 49, and 58, 44. So the vertical alignment is much better out of the box. It had a hash rate of 205, 206, and then a power at the wall at 98.6, 98.3. So yeah, vertical out of the box. If you're not doing any additional cooling and you're not overclocking, vertical these things, and then just try to crank up the internal fans, and they should handle just well. Next, we did horizontal and vertical with the 120mm fan strapped on, pulling out. So you've got the 2 internal fans coming in, the 120mm blowing out, kind of in a pass-through, not pass-through design. And it did okay. 5438, 5238. We'll let you guys look at these numbers yourselves. You can always freeze the screen and take a look at them up close. 100.3 watts at the wall. Next, we did the horizontal and the vertical, but we did the fan blowing in. So you got the 120mm blowing in. You've got the 2 mini internal fans blowing in this way, in this configuration. And that did okay as well. The next one, and this is the common one that everyone who overclocks these things is advised to use. You take both the plates off, the front plate, the back plate, and then now we have the 120mm fan, and it's blowing in. You've got the 2 mini fans blowing in, and it's pushing the air out. Let's scroll this up a little so you can see better. And there's how those numbers fared. And as you can see by the green highlight, they fared extremely well in this orientation. Next, we went ahead and left the plates off, but we put the 120mm fan blowing out and the 2 internal fans blowing in. So again, in, out, pulling through. And it did not fare very well in that configuration compared to with 120 blowing in and causing the sandwich and the air out. I've seen a number of people debate that in the comment sections of different videos, saying, well, if you have the fan blowing out, the fan for my specific testing blowing in and the other 2 blowing in and pushing the air out the sides with the plates off did way better. So that puts that little conversation to rest. So there we did 10 tests of configurations with just the stock Ice River KSO Pro, and then also removing the plates and adding the 120mm fan in different configurations. Now let's jump forward to where we actually tested this new shroud and see how it fared against the competition. So we went ahead and strapped the shroud on, and we did a horizontal first, and then we have the shroud blowing in and blowing out the front, and that's with the 3D printed plate on it. And it did okay. It did 50 degrees Celsius, 37, which is solid temperatures, 205 gigahash, and then you got 100.2 watts at the wall. We did the same thing with vertical, and it was pretty much the same results, which is interesting. It didn't make much of a difference one way or the other for the shroud. Now, those numbers weren't that impressive, so I thought, you know what, let's just put the 120mm fan back on the top, blowing down into, with the shroud still pulling this way, and the fan blowing down, causing it to sandwich the air. So the shroud's pushing this way, the fan's blowing down, and it causes it to sandwich the air more directly out. And that actually improved the temperature quite a bit. Alright, so there's all the numbers all on one happy screen. As you can see, I highlighted the yellow for the new shroud configuration, and then I highlighted in green the overall champion of all of these tests together are with the plates removed, 120 millimeter strapped on the side, blowing in, and just forcing that air out sandwich style out both ends, it actually was better than the shroud itself. So yeah, again, this is not an overclocked version, but if I ran the same tests across the whole thing stock, I cannot see it varying much by running it overclocked. But maybe that's something we'll test in the future. We're going to strap in that new firmware soon, and maybe we'll rerun these numbers and see how this shroud does in comparison. So yeah, so that wraps up our numbers. Let's go over, talk about these, and then cut over to our conclusion. Let's go. So there you have it. A lot of testing, a lot of time went into this one, and the end of the day, the shroud, while it looks cool and it is a really neat addition, it really doesn't top the configuration with just taking the front and back plates off, putting a 120 millimeter fan on there, and blowing that fan into the device, causing the sandwich action and blowing the air out the ends. So I really, really wanted to like this device, and I really wanted it to be the ultimate solution, or at least be as good as just taking the plates off. But I digress. It was still fun testing, and it was worth it. So what did you think of the testing? Do you have a better configuration? Like, what do your numbers look like? Make sure to comment down below, say, hey, Altered, your method sucks. I've got blah, 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 and it works way better. So yeah, call me a dummy and make sure to post them down below. If you're new to mining or you need some help, make sure to join the Misfit Mining Discord. There's always plenty of seasoned vets in there willing to help you out. And if you like the video, you know what to do. Smash that like button and subscribe for future content. Thanks for coming along and enjoy the ride.